Indians currently are in this phase of Indianness where we're starting to rediscover our own culture.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a historical context. Basically, when Europeans were ruling over our land, it's said that they stripped us of our ancient culture, which was also very advanced. So we're rediscovering yoga. Have you heard of Ayurveda?
Yes.
So we're rediscovering Ayurveda, we're rediscovering pranayam and all these practices, meditation, obviously. The thing is, okay, here's what the narrative is in India, right? We feel like people in America and Europe value our culture more than most Indians. And you'll see a lot of Indians today dissing all these concepts like Ayurveda, yoga, meditation, pranayam, because there isn't enough scientific evidence to back every single aspect of these subjects. But my take on this phenomenon is that there needs to be more scientific research done in order to understand the impact of these subjects on the human body and the human life. At the start of the podcast, I said that I respect you because you took your money and you put it against a purpose. The day I feel like I'm done with making money and I have more money than I'd know what to do with, I'd actually fuel scientific research in these domains for the sake of my own culture, which is why I find what you're doing extremely fascinating. Can we speak about these Indian concepts a little bit? And please, if you disagree with what I'm saying, I'm very open. I'm completely open to like understanding your perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that the criticism is coming from people who say there's not scientific evidence to support it. But that is such a rare thing. That's a very minority opinion in the US. Most people in the US, they really enjoy the narratives of health practices. And there's less criticism that there's not scientific evidence. So it's interesting that there's like a science. So it's actually, I view that as very favorable, that people are saying, hey, show me the evidence that this thing's actually legitimate. That's a positive thing. So it's a great invitation to do some studies. And so I view that not as negative at all. That's great. That's fantastic if that's a person's entry point to health and wellness.
Okay. Can I give you some context too?
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, when we speak about these concepts like yoga, Ayurveda, meditation, pranayam, these are ancient practices which are based on basically biohacking the human body through some small exercise-based changes or protocol-based changes or food-based changes. But because those words, yoga, Ayurveda, dhyan, which is meditation, pranayam, which is breathing exercises, they're associated with the Sanatan Dharma side. I think they get a bad rep from the other side. And of course, I'm Sanatani. So I'm speaking on behalf of this side, but I'm also trying to view it objectively. I'm trying to view it from the side that's against Sanatan Dharma, politically speaking.
Yeah.
So I feel like people are closed off. They're scientistic and not scientific when it comes to these things. And my response is always that over the next 20 years, what I anticipate is that meditative practices and yoga will be researched upon very, very, very heavily. And then we're going to find linkages between, say, breathing exercises, aka pranayam, and your health of your lungs, the health of your skin, etc.
Yeah.
Correct way of thinking, or do you want to correct me? Like, what do you think of what I just said?
Yeah, it sounds like very typical thing between there's groups of humans who take sides, they entrench themselves in these thoughts, and they battle each other out. And I guess our approach has been very much neutral, where we don't care where the idea comes from. We don't care who the tribe is. We don't care the history of the tribe. We just care if it works. So it's entirely, do we have evidence, and can we bring it back to these biomarkers that we care about? So it sounds to me like that really is a tribal conversation more than it is a scientific pursuit.
Gotcha. Can I deep dive a little more into one of those?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, here's where there's actually no scientific evidence because it's difficult to study something like this. And this is related to your subject as well, which is the subject of longevity and immortality, according to some people. So we speak about longevity in yoga very heavily, but it's also mentioned that it's very, very difficult to go about. The basis of it is what yoga is about. So what the West knows as yoga, often the West will view yoga as a set of exercises.
Right.
Sanatanis view yoga as an entire lifestyle, where the first two steps are yam and niyams, which is rules and ethics. I'm roughly translating. The next step is asana, which is the physical part, which is what the West knows. Then there's pranayam, which is breathing exercises. There's dhyan, which is meditation. Now, what they say is that to go into deeper states of meditation, you need to work very heavily on your body, and you need to work very heavily on your breathing exercises. And that's when you can enter deeper states of meditation. Now, parallelly, when you grow up in India, you have access to very advanced yoga schools, very advanced meditations. So I'll speak about my own experience. I've been meditating for 5 years upon Hong Saw. And if my lifestyle is completely clean, if I'm sleeping well, if I don't have too much career stress, and I'm able to just focus on my meditation as my priority, I often have meditation sessions where I go so deep that I forget my name, I forget my gender, I forget my own sense of identity. And I just know that I'm some being that's in a state of meditation. I also know when to get out. Now, the thing is, when you're in that deeper place in your own head, you can hear your own heartbeat. And in the chapter that explains the Hong Saw meditation, they say that the whole purpose of Hong Saw is to reduce the number of breaths you're taking in every minute. And when you reduce the number of breaths, your heart beats extremely slowly. And in that state of slow breaths and a slow heartbeat, anti-aging takes place and cellular healing takes place. And you're basically able to help your long-term state of having a calm mind as well as your long-term life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I said. Even if you believe that what I said is flaky, I'm open to that input.
Yeah. So I built a company over the past couple of years, a brain interface company. We were trying to build a globally mass market available brain interface, because getting your brain measured is very hard and costly. And the ones that are cheap just don't give you good quality. So we spent 7 years building basically wearable fMRI. It's just like you put a bike helmet on your head and it measures your brain. And we looked at meditation as one of the endpoints. So we'd bring people in and have them do meditations and then measure the efficacy of their meditation technique. And it was really fun because most people, because meditation is something you explain to other people in words, once a person closes their eyes, your internal experience is not necessarily shareable with someone else. And so most people who go into meditation, they just sit there and they just ruminate on thoughts. And so 2 seconds later, they're off on a to-do list or what they're nervous about or what they're excited about. And they're and they catch themselves, bring it back, and then go. It just repeats that process, right? And then better meditators can have a longer pause between thoughts and calm that. So we actually could quantify a person's efficacy meditating. So it was no longer this esoteric, subjective thing. We could actually put a number to it and show data. And so we wanted to do, I wanted to do a tongue-in-cheek competition where you basically bring all the different communities of people who work in their various meditation techniques and then have them compete with their techniques in a quantified format to see both the individual and the technique. And so you basically just level set with numbers and you make an esoteric practice scientific and quantifiable. And so that's my approach of I really want to use science and data and try to get to the actual cause. Then if it has some kind of rejuvenation properties, I want to measure them. So if the idea is the heart rate goes low and the body enters some kind of state, I would want to do some kind of measurement to try to capture that measurement.
Would you put yourself through something like this?
Certainly. Yeah.
Is this on the cards?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we've tried to hang out with power laws. It's when you look at the scientific evidence, there are thousands of things somebody can do to improve their health. But there's only 100 things we have time to do. And so we try to take the things that have the biggest lift on life extension and focus on those. So we would probably need a little bit of encouragement from the evidence that says, meditation has this kind of effect that leads to this kind of longevity, whatever. If it's not big enough, it wouldn't make our cut.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Understood.
yeah. So, but like if it has like a big effect size for mental health, maybe so. So it's got to be worth the time for the potential benefit.
Gotcha. Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.